Cheers, y'all. Mr. Mega Fred started this music tag, and then Christy tagged me in this. I'm going to try to keep this as short as I can. You see, I got notes, a whole page of notes. And I write like a doctor, so I can't read nothing.
Turn that blower off.
And so, I can turn my fan off. I got to try to decipher my notes. Anyways, this is my music tag. Well, first I want to say thank you to Big Lou's Barbecue. He mentioned Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver and Doc Watson. I never expected anybody to say that. Living here in southern Indiana, we're not far from Bean Blossom. That's where Bill Monroe used to have his festival every year for years. We're right across the river from western Kentucky, home of bluegrass. So I thank you, Big Lou. Now on to my stuff. Favorite kind of music. My favorite kind of music is singer-songwriters. I like John Prine. Who have I got here? John Prine, Jerry Jeff Walker, Guy Clark. Can't go wrong with Guy Clark. Joe Ely, Townes Van Zandt. Without Townes, we wouldn't have had so much music. He gave us a lot. Bobby Bear even. You know, I like Waylon and Willie. These guys are all singer-songwriters. And hell, you could even throw Bob Dylan in there. That's the type of music that I really like, singer-songwriters. Other than that, I'd have to go with Outlaw Country, Waylon and Willie, Tom Paul Glazier, all that stuff, Jerry Jeff. I like classic rock stuff from the late 60s through the 70s, and I like the Delta Blues. I can't say enough about Son House. I love the Delta Blues. And but anyways, my favorite guitar players. To me, there's only two guitar players that ever lived in this earth, and that was Roy Gallagher and Alvin Lee. Those were the two, my two favorites anyway. I'd have to throw Waylon in there because I'm a big Waylon fan. I love me some Waylon Jennings, and I like Waylon's leather guitar. I like the way he played that. And there's other guitar players. I can mention Eric Clapton. But I won't. I'm going to stick with Alvin Lee and Roy Gallagher. My favorite bass players. I like 70s rock. And if you listen to 70s rock, most studio albums had a guy named Klaus Voormann that played bass. He played a lot of bass on a lot of studio albums. He was a studio musician. He played with everybody that played in the 70s. And so I have to list him. John Entwistle from The Who, the Ox. Man, he just stood there like a damn ox, just stone cold and froze and played that bass. And of course, I'd have to say Jack Bruce. What else we got here? Favorite drummers. My all-time favorite drummer, I'd have to say Buddy Rich, because he was the first drummer that I ever saw. And I don't know, to me, to this day, Buddy Rich is the best drummer I've ever seen, listened to. I've never seen him live, but he's the best one I've ever heard or saw on film. I'd put Levon Helm in there from the band. I love what Levon Helm did on his drums, and plus his vocals, and plus the fact that I like the band. And we'd throw Keith Moon from The Who in there, and Carl Palmer. And I put Carl Palmer in there because I was always a big Emerson, Lake and Palmer fan, but I saw them once, and Carl Palmer did things with his drum set on stage that day or that night when I seen him, that I don't think could ever be replicated by anybody. I mean, this guy was just amazing, and the stuff that the drum set did and the stage, and it was just amazing. So I'm going to throw Carl Palmer in there. My favorite vocalist,
Christy McVie.
Huh?
Christy McVie.
No, but that's a good thing though, Christine McVie. For you people that like Stevie Nicks, up yours. Stevie Nicks was the fluff. Christine McVie was the Mac. Christine, she has some vocals, and she still does at age 902 or whatever. She's slightly older than me. But yeah, Christine, that's a good one, Terry. My favorite would be Graham Parsons. If you know me, I'm a big Graham Parsons fan. I cry every year at his death day. Whenever he dies, I binge listen to his music and I end up crying. Graham Parsons did a lot for the world of music that people doesn't give him the credit for, and without Graham, we wouldn't have had a lot of music that we have today. So he's one of my favorites. Of course, I'd have to say Bob Dylan. I'm a big Dylan fan. I know 99.98% of you are going to say, Keith, you're an idiot. But I'm a big Dylan fan, and I love what he does. And I'm going to say Joe Ely. If you're not from Texas, you probably don't know who Joe Ely is, but I love the way Joe sings. I love his music. Got a lot of good memories because of Joe, and he's just a rocking guitar player from Texas. And of course, Waylon. I can't say enough about Waylon. Waylon's been one of my favorites forever. Waylon Jennings is way up there to me. My favorite bands or artists. Well, I'm going to have to say Waylon again. I'm a big Waylon Jennings fan. And since Terry lives with me, she's become a big Waylon Jennings fan. I got a sign in my front door that says, you come here, you got to like Waylon. That's just the way it is. We like Waylon in this house. Of course, the Stones. I can't say enough about Keith Richards and Mick Jagger and all of them. Terry gets pissy at me because I listen to the Stones, but I like the Stones. David Bowie. Bowie was a great great artist. Of course, we got Dylan and the band. There again, I put the band in there because I'm a big fan of the band. Robbie Robertson, Rick Danko, and all of them. The one thing about me that most people don't know. Back in the 70s, in the early 70s, mid 70s, I was a big glam rock person. I listened to Bowie and T-Rex and all of them, and man, I was into makeup and glitter and what you call them friggin' heel things you wear on your shoes. What do you call it? Platforms. Platforms. Yeah, imagine me wearing my jean jacket with glitter going to a Bowie concert. Yeah, I did this shit, man. I mean, I was a big Bowie freak.
You're just a freak.
Always been a freak. Always been a freak. But yeah, I was really big into the glam rock. Mark Bolan and T-Rex. Can't forget them. I think I got everything on there that was in the tag from Christy. Now, the Green Bastard added 2 questions. I'm going to partially answer one of them. And he wanted to know your top 10 studio albums. I'm not going to give you 10, I'm only going to give you 2. My number 1 would be Black Oak, Arkansas, their first album. Black Oak's first album to me just blew me to friggin' away, man. It was just awesome. Oh, Uncle Elijah, I mean, how can you go wrong with that? But Black Oak's first album, And then I'm going to see REO 2, Speedwagon's second album. Speedwagon's second album was just phenomenal to me, REO 2. There was something I wanted to say. Oh yeah, for my favorite kind of music. I listed my favorite kind of music. And I should have said it would be easier for me to say my least favorite because I like so much music. So I'm going to throw that in here now. My favorite kind of music would be everything except rap and hip-hop, which I never listened to that at all. Never. And this 80s rock music. About 95.99% of that from the 80s was just pure trash. I would listen to Neil Diamond for 2 hours before I would listen to Motley Crue for 2 minutes. I don't care for Rat or Cinderella. I'm not a big Guns N' Roses fan. All this hair band trash noise slash metal. I like Ozzy and I like Sabbath, but I never cared for Rin the Cellar and Rat and all that stuff. I don't care for all that. The only thing cool about Rush I ever thought was Geddy Lee's name. That's the only reason I listened to Rush, because they had a guy named Geddy. What the fuck kind of a name is Geddy? So I had to listen to that just because of that. So I just throw that in there. I got to tag 3 people, it says. I think I'm going to tag 3 anyway. I'm going to tag Jeff Yates over there at Baloney Ring Ranch. I'll give the Baloney Boy a tag. And I'll have to tag my neighbor Greg McCutcheon here in town. Greg's a guitar player. We'll see what he can come up with. And Tango Joe up there in New York. See what that Yankees got to give us. So we'll tag Tango Joe. And with that, I'm going to say, go listen to some Townes Van Zandt, some Joe Ely, some Waylon. Listen to some real music. The stuff they call country now, it ain't country, so listen to Keith. Go get you some Billy Joe Shaver. You can't go wrong. And with that, you're going to miss me when I'm gone.